On a nice, warm summer day, the whole town gathered around 10 o'clock, pushing and shoving each other to get a good spot for the lottery. No more than 300 people lived there, but they grabbed spots as if thousands did. Piles and piles of rocks could be seen scattered around the beach that the children had gathered. The children were playing as the men discussed and argued over the lottery. Soon the women accompanied their husbands, joining in on their husbands' debates. Mr. Summers arrives, angered at himself for the fact he was a little late. The crowd sighed and murmured angrily about how he had been so late to this important day. Mr. Graves followed closely behind him, carrying a stool. Mr. Summers was holding a beat-up old box that held much meaning to the community. As everyone is placing their names in the box, Mrs. Hutchinson arrives late. As she arrived, she informed Mrs. Delaroy's that she had forgotten the day. Miss Delaroy's only responds with a rude eye roll and says she should have remembered. Mrs. Hutchinson shoves her way to find her husband. Mr. Summers cleared his throat. "All ready?" he shouted. "I'll read the names of the families first, and the men." He was interrupted by the snickering of the group of wives on the east side of the beach. "Ahem," he cleared his throat. "The men will come up and take paper without looking at it until we're done," he said. "Adams," he began. Mr. Adams was shoved to the front of the group. "Anderson, Bethlehem," Mr. Summers continued down the list. The crowd was shifting with anticipation and conversation. "Clark, Delacroix." A frail old man was pushed to the front of the group. Laughter erupted as he fell over and tried to grab his cane. "Dunbar, Harbert." Mr. Summers kept shouting names. Those whose families were called were grouped around each other, trying to look at the marking on their slip they received. "Hutchinson." Mrs. Hutchinson called out, "Get up there, Bill." The people around her were laughing hysterically. Many minutes later, Mr. Summers had finally read off the last few names. "All right, fellows." After a tense pause, "Who's got it?" The crowd energetically erupted. "Who is it?" one yelled. A group began to say, "It's Hutchinson! It's Bill!" A wave of energy flowed among the crowd. A group of men exchanged money. The crowd gathered their stones and began to laugh about the fact that it would be one of the Hutchinsons being stoned this year. The anticipation on the beach only rose more. Miss Hutchinson, in despair, stated, "They cheated." Laughter only grew as the children playfully tossed the molten lava stones into the air above them. The family lined up, taking another slip each of them out of the box, just to find the dark mark on Miss Hutchinson's lip. Laughter broke out once more as everyone got ready to throw stones. Miss Hutchinson began to run and cry as everyone threw stones at her. Even her own children joined in, for she had won the lottery.